So question 2a, can we read the Bible? Genesis chapter 12 from verse 1 to 9.
Genesis chapter 12, verse 1 to 9. Now the Lord said to Abram, go from your country and your kindred, from your country and your... Now the Lord said to Abram, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you, and I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you, and make...
You're only supposed to read one verse so that we give other people chances.
And I will bless you of your great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing.
I will bless those who bless you, and him who curse you and curse, and by you all of the families of the earth shall bless themselves.
So Abraham went, as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abraham was 75 years old when he departed from Haran.
And Abraham took C.R.E his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions which they had gathered, and the persons that they had gotten in Haran, and they set forth to go to the land of Canaan. When they had come to the land of Canaan,
Abraham passed through the land to the place at Shechem to the oak of Moreh. At that time the Canaanites were in the land.
Then the Lord appeared to Abraham and said, To your descendants, I will give this land. So he built there an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him.
Then he removed the mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent with Bethel on the west of Ai on the east, and there built an altar to the Lord and called the name of the Lord.
And Abraham journeyed on, still going toward the mountain.
So you were supposed to describe the call of Abraham. So God told Abraham to leave his country, Haran, his kindred, his father's house, to the land that God was going to do what? To show him. And God promised Abraham that he would make him a great nation. He's going to bless him. He will make his name great, and he will be a source of blessing. So if you talk about the promises, well, that was just one point. Abraham left the land of Haran as he had been instructed by God. And when he left, you have to note that Abraham was how many years? 75 years when he was called. That was important. He took his wife Sarai, Lot, his brother's son, all their possessions, his servants, and set forth to the land of what? Of Canaan. They passed through Canaan to the place of Shechem. That is Oak of Moreh. Or you can just say, no, they never passed. You say they reach a place called what? Shechem. And God appeared to Abraham and promised to give him the land of Canaan to his descendants. And Abraham built an altar in where? In Shechem. He moved to the mountain on the east of Bethel and pitched a tent and built another altar for the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. And Abraham journeyed on towards what? Negeb. What is important here is about mentioning the names of the what? The places. I did not fully adhere to the marking scheme on this question because I knew what it was required. But most of you are not mentioning the names or where he built the altars. I don't know whether you forgot or what. Question 2b.
explain 4 characteristics of a covenant demonstrated in the covenant between God and Abraham.
Yes, the characteristics of a covenant demonstrated in the covenant between God and Abraham. Not all the covenants. Number one, it was what? Unconditional. Number two, it had two unequal parties. Because God was unequal to who? To Abraham. So it had two unequal parties, for example, God and Abraham. It had promises which were given by God. It had an outward sign which was circumcision. It was sealed through blood sacrifice. It was voluntary. Abraham entered it willingly. It was binding. It was to be kept even by Abraham's descendants. It was initiated by God. Question 2c. Yes, so why do they take their vows before starting their work? And some of the funny answers that I got here is that to respect the elders. In heaven, we don't have elders. In the churches, you might have elders. Yes? They're just normal human beings like you, right? So when the church leaders are taking their vows, they are not showing respect only to the elders. I wish you could have even said respecting the what? The congregation or the Christians, right? Because that means that the way we've been socialized in our communities is like the elders of the church are what? God. Because now there were people telling me to respect the elders. Others were telling me to be perfect. Or someone used the word to be perfectful. And is there a word like that in English? So why do church leaders take vows? To receive God's blessing or to receive God's guidance? To get acknowledgement from the people being served? It reminds the leader to stick to the church regulations or the mission of the church. So just to stick to it reminds them to stick to the church regulations, to get authority from God to lead. It gives the leader courage, or rather you can just say it gives the leader confidence to do their work. It shows one's commitment to serve. That is, they are willing to serve. And lastly, to emulate the biblical way of commissioning servants of God. Question 3a. So what were the duties of Samuel? The funny answers that I got here, I was shocked. People told me to preach during that time. to preach to the people. There are people who tell me to lead people to war. He led people to war. Did he go to war? He did what? He made offerings before what? Before going to war. Can you please correct that from your notes? Because most of you are writing answers which are incorrect. He did not, you know, people, we are saying he led people to war. What does it mean? Because maybe what you're understanding or term understanding is a different thing. So he anointed the first two kings of Israel. That is, he anointed Saul and David. He judged the people. He foretold God's plan for the future. That is, he said what would happen to the Israelites or to the kings. He reminded the people of God's ways. He acted as a mediator between God and the people. He condemned social injustice. He brought to the king's attention their mistakes. For example, Saul. So he brought to the king's attention their mistakes. So he told the kings their mistakes. For example, Saul. He also condemned idolatry. That is, he preached monotheism. And he offered sacrifices.